Okay, so now let's go to the next market structure, which is monopoly. Okay, so monopoly is a market structure where there is only one firm or one seller selling one particular product or providing one particular type of service to the buyers or customers, and the product that they produce or the service that they provide has no close substitution, meaning there is no competition for the products that they produce, no rivals. Okay, and they have high entry and exit barrier, meaning it's hard for other firms to enter the market, and it's also hard for them to exit the market. Okay, so let's look at the characteristics in detail. Okay, the first one is there is only one seller, okay, where the monopolist itself is the firm as well as the industry. Since there is only one firm selling that one particular product, so the firm is considered as the industry. Okay, for example, in the case of Malaysia, we have TNB. So we know TNB as the only energy provider, electricity provider, okay, for Malaysia. Right? So therefore, TNB is considered as the industry itself, the energy industry itself. Okay? And the product also has no close substitution. And in the case of Malaysia as well, in Peninsula, you cannot actually find any other electricity provider, okay, other than TNB. Therefore, the only electricity provider for Peninsula Malaysia is only TNB. You cannot get it from any other sellers or any other firms. Okay, so there is no substitution for that particular product. Okay, and then these firms are also price maker. Okay, since there is no one there is only one seller, and this seller has control over the price for the product that they produce or for the service that they provide, meaning they can actually set any price for their product as long as the price will cover their cost of production. Okay, for example, we have Astro, okay, which is a satellite TV provider for Malaysia. Astro is close to monopoly, even though we have other alternatives for channel services or TV channel services, but Astro is the only satellite TV provider for the case of Malaysia. Okay, and Astro actually can set a little bit of high price for their service. Okay, if you notice Astro punya harga, okay, in order for you to subscribe to Astro, the price is a bit expensive. Okay, because we actually have no other options. Okay, we have other options, but maybe not as good as Astro. Okay, so therefore they are considered as close to monopoly. So they can actually control the price of the service that they provide to the people. Okay, and there is restriction of entry of new firms. It's hard for other firms to enter the market. Later on, I will show you what are the kind of restrictions or the kind of barriers that can exist in a monopoly market structure. Why is it hard for other firms to enter the market? So we are going to see that in the next slide here. But before that, I will talk about advertising. In the case of monopoly, okay, advertising depends on the product or the service that they provide. If, let's say, for the case of TNB is providing electricity, and electricity is a necessity. Okay, is what we consider as necessity, meaning you need electricity. So in that case, TNB is not required to do a lot of advertisement or advertising. Okay, because by hook or by crook, people still need to use electricity, so people still are going to require their services. Okay, but for example, Astro, okay, another example is Astro. Astro is actually providing service, okay, which is TV channels, which are considered as luxury. This is not necessity. So for them to make sure that people will subscribe to their service, they need to do a little bit of advertisement. They need to convince the people that they are providing a good service which can give benefits to the customers. So advertisement is needed based on what type of services or what type of products that they are providing to the customers. If it is necessity, then no advertisement needed, not much advertisement needed. But if their products is a luxury product, then maybe a little bit of advertisement need to be done. Okay. Now let's go to barriers of entry. Okay. So for monopoly, we know that restriction for firms to enter the market. So what are examples of the restrictions, okay, for other people to enter the market? So the first one is control over raw materials. This means that a certain monopoly firm, okay, they actually have the rights to use the raw materials that they need to provide their services. Okay, for example, TNB or for example Astro, they have all the required raw materials, and they can control the raw materials that they need to provide the services to the customers, and no other firms has that right over the raw materials. Okay, and then the second one is in terms of patent or copyright. Okay, so patent and copyright can also give a monopoly power to a certain firm, because patent, okay, for example, patent is actually an exclusive rights given to a certain producer or certain firms, okay, in terms of innovation, in terms of their innovation, meaning other firms cannot copy or try to produce the same product as what they have produced. Okay, in the case of Apple, for example, okay, they have patent or copyright where other firms cannot actually copy their design or the technology that they have in their product, okay, for a certain period. Okay, and if other firms do copy their design or their innovation, what will happen is the firms can be sued, boleh disaman. So for a certain period and for a certain level, they actually have monopoly over their own product. Okay, they can sell their product without worrying about competitions or without worrying about other firms copying their design, okay, or their product. Alright, so that is what we mean as patent. Okay, and then cost of establishing an efficient plant, meaning one monopoly firm, okay, or one firm in a monopoly market is enough to provide services or to produce the product to the people or to the customers. There's no need for other firms to provide the same kind of product or service. For example, TNB, it's enough that TNB itself, okay, or TNB or only TNB should produce or provide electricity service to the public. There's no need for other firms to do the same thing. Okay, so it's enough just to have one electricity provider for a certain area. Okay, so that is example of establishing an efficient plant. Okay, it says here, one monopoly firm can meet the entire market demand. TNB itself on its own can provide or can cater the whole demand for electricity for the whole peninsula Malaysia with a lower price. Okay, they can provide it with a lower cost, okay, compared to having two or more firms providing the same service. And then the fourth one, okay, fourth restriction is in terms of government franchise. For example, Astro, okay, is the only firm, okay, that is given exclusive rights to provide satellite TV provider. They are allowed to use the satellite to provide or to give services in terms of TV channels to the people. Okay, so government franchise is also important. Like TNB as well is also a government franchise. Okay, they are given government rights. Okay, they are given the rights by the government to provide the services. No other firms have the rights. Okay. Okay, now let's look at how a monopoly firm maximize their profit or how they get equilibrium in the market. So just like what I have explained for perfect competition, okay, they have two ways to determine their profit maximizing condition or their profit maximizing level. The first one is using total approach. Okay, total approach. Okay, so using total approach, okay, you have this quantity on this graph, you have quantity on the x-axis and then the total revenue and total cost. Okay, so you have total revenue and total cost. So this graph is actually generated from this table right here. Okay, so you have here the different quantity of products and the different price level. Since monopoly is imperfect market, so they are price makers, meaning they can change their price depending on the quantity of the products that they can produce or they can sell to the public. They are not like perfect competition. Perfect competitive firms are price takers, so the price are fixed. Okay, everyone has to follow the same price level for the whole market. Okay, so in this case, the total revenue is upward sloping and it is curvy like this. Okay, your total revenue here. Okay, and then total cost is also upward sloping, U shape. Okay, so at a certain level, okay, you still remember total approach. Okay, to get profit maximizing, to maximize profit. Okay, using total approach is the gap between total revenue and total cost must be the biggest. Okay, the biggest. So when you minus total revenue and total cost, you should get the highest profit. Okay, the highest profit. So if you look at this table, total revenue minus total cost, okay, you get the highest profit at this level when the quantity sold is 8 units. Okay, so 760 is the highest profit that this monopoly firm can get. So where is this point? Okay, for you to show on the graph, where is this point? It is actually here, where you can actually see the gap between total revenue and total cost is the biggest. So let's say here, from the table, the total revenue is 2,160 and the total cost is 1,400. Oops. Okay, so this is where you get the 760 of profit just now. So the quantity here should be 8. Okay, 8 units. So this is where the firm is making maximum profit, meaning this monopoly firm should sell 8 units of their product with the price of 270 in order for them to maximize their profit. Okay, now let's look at how monopoly firms maximize their profit using marginal approach. Okay, so for when you use marginal approach, okay, marginal approach, you have to keep in mind that the condition to maximize profit is when marginal revenue is equals to the marginal cost. Okay, so if you look at this graph right here, you have again quantity on the x-axis, but on the y-axis you have marginal revenue and marginal cost. Okay, so if you notice here, the average revenue curve and the marginal revenue curve are separated, not like perfect competition market. Perfect competition market, their average revenue curve and marginal revenue curve are on the same line. Okay, meaning their average revenue is the same with their average revenue. Their average revenue is the same with their marginal revenue because they are price takers. But for monopoly firms, since they are price makers, meaning they can change their price depending on the quantity of the products that they sold. Okay, so what you can get here is the average revenue will be higher than the marginal revenue. This is generated from the table right here. Marginal revenue, okay, and average revenue. Okay, average revenue is actually not here, but if you calculate the average revenue, you will get it higher than the marginal revenue. Okay, so you can see here the price actually varies depending on the quantity, not like perfect competition. Perfect competition, they have the same price level for all quantity. Okay, so now, okay, to maximize profit, the condition just now is MR, okay, MR must equal to MC. So you look at this graph, MR equals to MC is at this point right here. Okay, this is where MR equals to MC. Okay, profit maximizing point. We call it as profit maximizing point. So from this point, what you need to do is you drag it upward until it touches this average revenue or price. Okay, so you get the price here, the profit maximizing price, and the profit maximizing quantity when we drag it downward. Okay, so this is where they can actually maximize their profit. So the price is 270, the quantity is 8, meaning this monopoly firm has to sell their product at 270 ringgit with quantity of 8. So they can maximize their profit, okay, which means their marginal revenue will be the same with their marginal cost, which is equals to 200. Okay, their marginal revenue and their marginal cost is equal to 200. Okay, so we are going to use this method, marginal approach, okay, for the next explanation on three different types of economic profit. Three different types of profit. Okay. Alright, so now let's look at how a monopoly firm can earn economic profit, or how can they make be at break even, and how can they incur economic losses. So if you still remember the three types of profit: supernormal profit, which is economic profit, and then we have normal profit, which is break even, and then subnormal profit, which means they are making economic losses. Let's look at the first type of the first type of profit, which is supernormal profit. Okay, supernormal profit or economic profit. The other name for it is economic profit. Okay, so for these firms, for monopoly firms, to get economic profit, again, you look at the condition, the total revenue, okay, made by the firm must be more than the total cost. Okay, so when you do the graph, you have to find the total revenue, the area for total revenue, and the area for total cost. Okay. Okay, so I have the graph right here, and then we are going to label the axis. Okay, so on the x-axis is the quantity in units, okay, and then on the y-axis you can label it as price, or you can also slash label it as cost, because you will have average revenue, okay, which includes the price, and you also have marginal cost and average total cost. So you have price and cost on the same graph. Okay, so what we are going to do first is we are going to draw the average revenue and marginal revenue curve. Okay, so when you draw the average revenue, you make sure it is higher than the marginal revenue. Okay, let's say you label it in yellow. Okay, and then you have the marginal revenue, which is lower than the average revenue. Let's say you do it like this. Okay, then you label it as green. Maybe I put it as green. Okay. Okay, now you can label the graph. This is average revenue, or basically the price or demand, and then you have the marginal revenue. Okay, so make sure marginal revenue is below the average revenue. Okay, next thing that you need to draw is the average total cost. Okay, this one you need to pay a little bit of attention. Okay, average total cost. Okay, to get economic profit, or in order for the monopoly firm to gain profit, when you draw the average total cost, make sure the minimum average total cost, which is the bottom right here, if you look at the slide here, the bottom here is below the average revenue curve. So when you draw, let's say I put it in blue color. Okay, so when you draw the curve for average total cost, minimum must be below the average revenue. This is the minimum right here, below average revenue. Okay, and then next is for you to draw the marginal cost. Okay, and marginal cost, the condition for you to draw marginal cost is it must cross the minimum ATC. When you draw MC, dia mesti bersilang dekat minimum ATC, like this, somewhere around there lah. Okay, so you have all the curves, marginal revenue, average revenue, marginal cost, and average total cost, which is the bottom is below average revenue. Okay, now, let's look back at the condition to maximize profit. Okay, let's say we are using marginal approach, and the condition to maximize profit using marginal approach, as what you can see from this slide right here, is MR must equal to MC. So MR equals to MC, so you get maximum profit or you get equilibrium. So MR equals to MC is actually here. This is where MR equals to MC. Okay, so what you need to do is, first you have to find the area of total revenue. And you still remember total revenue is price times quantity. So to get quantity is from this point, you bring the point downward, so you get the quantity. Let's say the quantity is 8. Okay, and then you have to find the price. This is the quantity. To find the price is from this point, MR equals to MC, you bring upward until you touch the yellow curve, which is the average revenue or the price curve. Okay, so from that point, you drag it to the left, so you get the price. This is equilibrium quantity, and this is equilibrium price. Let's say the equilibrium price is 20. So now you can get the area of total revenue. Okay, the area of total revenue is this one. Okay, which is price times quantity. Okay, so you draw, okay, like this. This is the area of total revenue, which is price times quantity, which is 20 times 8. So 20 times 8 is RM 160. Okay, now, next is for you to find the area for total cost. Okay, so next is for you to find the total cost. So from that point, MR equals to MC, you drag it upward until it touches ATC, which is the total cost for one product. So you drag it to the left. Now you get the average cost, which is, let's say I put it as 15. Okay, so the area of total cost is actually, say I use green color. Okay, total cost is basically average total cost times quantity, which is 15 times 8, and you will get RM 120. So the area of total cost is actually here. Maybe I put it the opposite way, like this, so you can see clearly the area of total cost. Okay, and to get profit, again, to get profit using the total approach is total revenue must minus with total cost. So total revenue is 160, total cost is 120. So what you will get here is RM 40 of profit. So where is this RM 40 of profit? It is right here. This area right here. Okay, this is the area of profit. Okay, RM40, which is basically 20 minus 15. You multiply with 8. Okay, 5 times 8. You get 40 as well. So there are two ways to find profit. Okay, price minus cost. Okay, and then you multiply with 8. Or you can also minus total revenue and total cost. You will get RM40 of economic profit. Okay, now let's look at how a monopoly firm will be at break even. Okay, break even means there is no profit and there is no losses made by the firm. Okay, so this is what we call as normal profit. Okay, normal profit or break even. Okay, so the condition to get break even is total revenue must equal to total cost. So you are making zero profit and zero loss. Okay, now you have the graph, the same graph, you have the same average revenue and price, and then you have marginal revenue. The x-axis is the quantity, the y-axis is the price, as well as the cost, which is in RM lah. Okay, and then next is for you, the next step is for you to draw the average total cost. Okay, as usual. But in this case, to get break even, okay, just now to get profit, your average total cost, the minimum average total cost must be below the average revenue. But for you to get break even, the minimum average total cost must touch the average revenue curve, the yellow curve here. So when you draw the average total cost, in this case, okay, you draw it like this. So label ATC. So the bottom ATC is touching the average revenue. And then next is for you to draw the marginal cost, which must cross the minimum ATC here. Okay, so label as MC. Okay, again, the profit maximizing condition is MR must equal to MC. Okay, so find the point where MR equals to MC, which is here again. Okay, so from that point, what you need to do is you drag it upward to get the total revenue. Okay, so this is the price. Okay, so you drag it here to get the price, let's say 20, and then you drag downward to get the equilibrium quantity, which is 8. Okay, so this is the area of total revenue. Okay, the area of total revenue, which is 20 multiplied with 8, so you get RM 160. Okay, now is for you to find the area for total cost. Okay, so from this point, MR equals to MC. Okay, so from this point, you drag upward until it touches ATC, which is at the same point right here. Okay, this is where ATC is. So when you drag it, so this is actually your average cost as well, which is the same value, 20. And also you will get the same quantity. So basically, your total cost, okay, your total cost is also, your average cost is 20, your quantity is 8. So your total cost is actually equals to your total revenue, which is basically in the same area here. Okay, so you notice here your total cost is equal to your total revenue, which is RM 160. So this is where you get break even, or this monopoly firm is at break even. There is no loss and there is no profit. Now let's look at how this monopoly firm can get loss, or losses, can make losses. Okay, so the third condition is what we call as subnormal profit, or the other term for it is economic losses. So this monopoly firm can obtain losses when their total cost is bigger than their total revenue. The cost of production is higher than their sales. So this is where they make losses. Okay. So how do we show losses in this graph? So you have quantity, and then you have price again, and then cost, and then you have average revenue, which is equals to price, and then you have the marginal revenue. Now, in this case, when you want to draw the average total cost, you make sure that the minimum average total cost is above the average revenue or the price curve. So when you draw the ATC, it is somewhere above the average revenue. It doesn't touch and it is not below the average revenue. It is above the average revenue. Okay, and then next is for you to draw the marginal cost, which is crossing the minimum ATC. So this is your marginal cost. Okay, back to the condition again. To maximize profit is MR must equal to MC, which is here. MR equals to MC. So from this point, what you need to do is you drag it upwards to find the total revenue. Okay, total revenue. Drag it until it touches the revenue curve here. Okay, the price curve. So you drag it to the left. You will get the equilibrium price, which is 20. And then to get the equilibrium quantity, you drag it downward. So you get equilibrium quantity, which is 8. So this is basically the area of your total revenue. Okay, so you put it here. Your total revenue, 20 multiplied with 8, you get 160. Okay, next is for you to find the area of total cost. Okay, so from this graph, okay, from MR equals to MC, you drag upward until you find or until you touch the ATC curve. So from that point, you drag to the left, you will get the average cost, average total cost, which is, let's say, 25. Okay, so now you can find your total cost. Your total cost is 25 multiplied with 8, which is 200. Okay, 200. Okay, so where is this 200? It is basically this area. This is the area of total cost. So you notice that the green area is bigger than the red area. So what does it mean? It means that your total revenue, your total cost is bigger than your total revenue. So basically you are making losses. You are making losses by how many units? So you use the formula to calculate profit or loss, which is total revenue minus total cost. So in this case, your total revenue is RM 160. Your total cost is 200. So when you deduct, what you get is negative 40 ringgit. So your negative 40 ringgit here is it means that you are making losses of 40 ringgit. Okay. So if you look at the area, how do you show this RM40 on the graph? It is this area right here. This is the area of your losses. Okay, RM40. So you can either calculate by using the profit formula, which is 160 minus 200, or you can also calculate by deducting 25 with 20, you get 5. And then you multiply with the quantity, which is 8. So 5 times 8 is also 40 ringgit of losses. Okay, just now we have looked at how the monopoly firms can obtain the 3 types of profit, okay, which is economic profit, break-even and economic losses in the short run. Okay, so in the short run, monopoly firm can earn economic profit. They can also earn break-even and they can also earn or get economic losses. Okay, what about what about long run production? Okay, in a monopoly market. So a monopoly firm, okay, in the long run, they will get what we call as economic profit, or the other name for it is supernormal profit. Why do we say that monopoly firm gets economic profit? They will not get break-even or economic losses, is because usually monopoly firm, they don't have competition, so we assume that they don't have to compete, and consumers have no other choice but to purchase the products from them or acquire the services from them. So by hook or by crook, they will still make profit in the long run, because there is no competition and their products have no substitution. So consumers have no choice but to buy from them. Okay, so that's why they will always get profit, or they will always make profit even in the long run production. Okay, so let's continue with the last part of this topic, which is on price discrimination. Okay, discriminate means you are treating, okay, in the general term, you are treating different groups of people differently. So price discrimination here means you are setting different price for different groups of people or groups of consumers in the market. Okay, so it refers, if you look at this slide, it refers to selling or charging different prices to different buyers. So you can actually discriminate in terms of price setting. Okay, what are the conditions? Okay, apa syarat-syarat dia when you want to price discriminate? Okay, the first one is there is existence of monopoly power, meaning you have no competitors. Okay, when you discriminate the price, okay, you are the only firm selling the product. Or if you are not a monopoly firm, maybe you can discriminate price if the other firms, okay, that are providing the same service or producing the same product are also practicing price discrimination. So every firms in the market, in the same market, discriminate in terms of price ataupun or practicing price discrimination, then there is no problem. And there is existence of different markets for the same commodity, where a firm can actually separate their customers or consumers according to the price elasticity of demand. So for the same product, you can actually have different market, meaning different target market, okay, different groups of consumers. So it's easy for you to actually discriminate in terms of price. Okay, for example, you can actually have adult consumers, you can actually have young consumers or child consumers. Okay, so those are examples of different markets that you can have, okay, in when you want to sell a certain product. Okay, and then existence of different degree of elasticity of demand. If you still remember, elasticity means consumers' responsiveness in terms of their demand or in terms of their purchase, okay, for a certain product. So you can have elastic demand. Okay, you can have you can have elastic demand. You can also have inelastic demand. Okay, elastic demand meaning people or consumers are very responsive towards the change in the price, while inelastic demand means consumers are not responsive towards the change in the price. Meaning, if the producer change the price, let's say the producer is increasing the price of their product, elastic demand means the consumers will drastically reduce their purchase. Okay, kalau elastik maksudnya bila producer naikkan harga, pengguna akan kurang membeli. Okay, akan kurang membeli dengan banyak. But in the case of inelastic demand, even though the producer is increasing the price, the consumers will not reduce their purchase. The consumers will still purchase the product even though the price has increased. That is what we mean by irresponsive. Okay, so usually for elastic demand, what these monopoly firms will do, or what these firms will do, is they will change their, they will set a lower price. Okay, because if they set higher price, consumers will shift their purchase to other sellers. And for inelastic demand, okay, they will usually charge higher price, because even though the firm set higher price, the consumers will still purchase the products, okay, from them. Alright, and then the cost of separating market must be low. Okay, if they want to price discriminate, okay, they need to make sure that when they do so, it is not costly to them. Okay, dia tak menyebabkan kos yang terlalu tinggi bila nak letakkan harga-harga yang berbeza. When they want to set different price for different target market or different groups of people, they need to make sure that it is not costly. Okay, no resale of products, meaning product purchased in a low price market should not be resold in the high price market. So we assume, or they have to make sure that when they set different markets, okay, and then they put different price for different market, they have to make sure that the products cannot be sold from one market to another market. Okay, and then legal sanction, where government allows the public utility firms such as electricity to charge different prices from different consumers, meaning they are given the permission, okay, the legality from the government, the authority from the government to actually charge different price to different consumers. They can do so because the government says they can. Okay, they are given the permission by the government to discriminate in terms of price. Alright, let's look at the three different types of price discrimination, or three different level of price discrimination. Okay, the first one, we have what we call as first degree price discrimination, where a firm charges each consumer the maximum price that he or she is willing to pay. An example of first degree price discrimination is auction ataupun bidding. Okay, bila kita lelong dan sebagainya. So whoever consumers that can offer the highest price for a certain, or for the same product, they will get the product. Okay, for example, okay, when auction, you have individual A, and then individual B and individual C. Let's say the individual A offers 1,000 for the product, individual B offers 500, and individual C offers 1,200. So you have different price offered by different individuals, and the individual who offers the highest price for the same product, okay, let's say product X, okay, this individual will get the product because it offers the highest price. So this is an example of first degree price discrimination. And then the next type of price discrimination is second degree price discrimination, which occurs when the products are grouped into blocks, and each blocks of these consumers will be charged different price level. Okay, an example of second degree price discrimination is when electricity provider is setting or is charging different price level for different blocks of people. For example, in the case of TNB, let's say, actually electricity can be used for different purposes. You can use it for your daily use, let's say when you are at home and you use it for your daily use, and you can also use it for commercial use. Let's say you have a manufacturing factory and so on, so it is for commercial use. Okay, so when you are charged for domestic use, let's say you are a domestic user, daily user, you will be charged different rate for electricity. And if you use electricity for commercial, okay, for your factory and so on, you will be charged different rate, okay, for your different tariff for your electricity usage. So that is example of second degree price discrimination. Okay, and then we have third degree price discrimination, in which the markets, okay, the consumers are divided into different sub-markets or sub-groups. Okay, example of third degree price discrimination is, let's say, when you go to theme park, for example, you can have different price for adults, for example, and then for child, and then for babies, usually are free. And you can also have different charges for local, okay, for Malaysian, and different charge or different rate for non-Malaysian. Okay, those with my card and those with no my card. Okay, so different charge. So that is example of third degree price discrimination. So this is what we call as sub-market or subgroups, okay, in the among the consumers. Okay, now let's compare between, let's generally compare between perfect competition and monopoly market. Okay, so in terms of firms or number of sellers in the market, for perfect competition, there are a lot of sellers. Okay, and they are selling basically the same products which consumers cannot differentiate. But for monopoly, there will only be one seller selling products that usually have no substitution, meaning there are no other sellers, no other firms that sell the same type of product. Okay, and perfect competitive firms, they are price takers, meaning they set the same price. Okay, every firms in the market must set the same price for the same product. If the price is 10, the market price is 10 ringgit, every sellers must charge 10 ringgit for the products, regardless of the quantity sold. But for monopoly, they are price makers, meaning they can charge different price depending on how much margin or how much profitability they want to achieve. Okay, as long as it is above the cost. Okay, in perfect competition market, they earn normal profit in the long run, because it's actually hard for them to make huge profit, okay, or to earn super normal profit, because usually it is easy for other firms to enter the market, and that will increase the number of rivals, the number of competitors, okay, the number of competitions in the market. So it's hard for them to compete, and it's hard for them to gain much profit. But for monopoly firms, okay, they will earn super normal profit in the long run, because it is hard for other firms to enter the market. So usually this monopoly firm, they will not have rivals or competitions. Okay, in the long run, perfect competitive firms produces at the lowest point on the minimum average cost. So what they will do, okay, perfect competitive firms, okay, since they have to sell their products at the same price, everyone has to sell, let's say, at 10 ringgit. The only thing that they can do to gain as much margin is they have to produce it at the minimum cost, okay, minimum average cost, meaning they have to, if they cannot maximize their profit, then or if they cannot charge higher price, then what they can do is they have to minimize the cost of production. They reduce as much cost as possible. But for monopoly firm, they will not operate at the minimum ATC, because they can actually adjust their price to gain as much profit as they can. So they don't necessarily have to minimize their cost. They don't have to reduce their cost, because they can charge higher price so that they can gain higher profit. Okay, so that is the difference between perfect competitive firms and monopoly firms.